K292FQ Riverside and K293CF Moreno Valley.
When we need her, and she's always the first person out there to say, let me help you. I remember a time when my cousin Danny had passed away, and I call her Aunt Linda because she's actually my best friend Tammy's aunt. And Aunt Linda and Aunt Connie, her sister, came to my cousin Kim's house and served food to everyone who came for the funeral services. And I'll never forget how awesome that was, that they reached out to us in our time of need. She's a wife, a mother, a grandmother. She's also a sister, an aunt, and she has lots of grandkids. She's worked in the community of the Inland Empire as a school bus driver for special needs children and adults. She's also worked in her church. And I just want to say a warm welcome to Linda Clark.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
We're so glad you were able to make it today.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So excited to have you. You're one of the first people that I thought of when I thought of interviewing someone for the show, because I love you, and you have such a great story to share with us, and I know you're going to inspire many.
I'm honored. I'm honored.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about how old you were and when you first started having some struggles, and what the reasons were for having struggles with substance abuse disorder?
Well, I had been introduced one time when I was about 12 to, they're called whites, or otherwise they're like mini bennies, West Coast turnarounds. This was years and years ago.
I remember hearing those terms.
And I only did it one night. It kept me up all night long. I was wandering around forever, and I didn't do anything else until I turned 14. Then I was introduced to them again, and I realized they were really great for my eating disorder, because I always had an issue with my weight, and I got teased a lot, and it was just a battle that I went through. So I was on them pretty much for a long time.
So would you say then that, sadly, because you were having issues with your weight and you were perhaps teased, that you turned to, when you realized that this helped with your appetite, that's why you turned to them?
Well, yeah. Well, what happened is my parents divorced when I was about 9. So, tossed around quite a bit. But when getting teased a lot from family members and things, it really got to me really bad. So, yeah, I just started taking them, and I took them from probably age 14 to about the age of 18.
Wow. Yeah. And it's sad.
I'm going to switch phones and see if I can hear you better.
Okay,
I'm not
fine.
hearing too well.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. I think that's a little better.
Okay. Can you hear us better now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, much better.
Oh,
Much
good.
better,
Okay,
much
good. I was just going to say
what are these, were they pills? What was it?
They're a little white pill. Mostly the truck drivers used to use them back in the 60s and 70s, and they used to call them West Coast turnarounds because they would have to go across the country, and that kept them up, and it kept them awake.
Oh, yeah. So what, was it like meth or?
I think barbiturates.
No. Oh, no. Oh, it was just, it would just keep you going, and then you wouldn't eat, but it was nothing like meth, nothing like that.
I think it's more like
'Cause it didn't make
barbiturates, right?
Oh.
Barbiturates.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think. I'm not positive, but I remember hearing about it as a kid. People taking them, my dad taking them, things like that.
Yeah, I'd never heard of them.
Yeah, Black Beauties. My cousin.
Yeah, I took those too. Yeah, I took the Black Beauties. You get those from the doctor back in the day, in the 70s. And I got those for my weight too.
Did they have like some kind of criteria, or were they just giving it to you? Like, I mean,
no, you have to go in, you have to weigh in, and then you have to make sure that you are consistent about losing weight.
Oh,
Otherwise,
so they're like diet pills.
They were diet.
Oh, absolutely. That's what Black Beauties are. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So then you had to make sure you were consistent with losing weight, but these were very powerful. I mean,
like phentermine,
because they stopped allowing it, so they were pretty powerful. I would say. Would you say that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sometimes you would take 2, sometimes even more. So they are very addictive. They were very addictive.
Yeah.
And back in the days, so many people that I knew were taking them because it was kind of like, okay, you don't have to worry about eating hardly, and it wasn't so much the high. It was mostly like just kicking back with people, and so I really didn't get the high off of it, but it was the eating thing that I really, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
it helped me a lot.
So I
But
guess
we
it
would
could be
get where
confusing.
everybody went to the doctor. Everybody went to the same doctor, and they would all get their diet pills. And if one ran out, they would let the other one. The other one would say, "Okay, I'll front you these until you get yours." So it was kind of like same way like with meth and everything.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of gives it to each other. Yeah.
I remember my dad, one time I was home from school sick, and we went someplace to like a doctor's office, and I believe it was like on Arlington. But I remember my mom was really upset because my dad was very overweight. My mom was like 90 pounds, and the doctor had written the prescription in her name because my dad had taken out so many prescriptions he couldn't get them, and she had to go in, and she was like so embarrassed going in there to get the pills because she only weighed like 90 pounds, and she's like, they're not going to believe that I need these pills. So she was really mad. That's how it was back then, I guess. They were just, and it's almost like what they're doing nowadays with what was going on with the opiates for a little while there with the oxycodone. People were abusing it, but okay. So
Well, they even used to have cocaine and coke, so I mean, we shouldn't be too surprised.
true.
And that was never my drug. I never liked coke, so it
Yeah.
did nothing for me.
Yeah,
That's a rich man's high.
yeah,
Right?
that's true.
So then what happened next? So you started using those, and you really probably didn't feel like you were even really abusing them. You were getting from the doctor. You were feeling like it was helping you to maintain your weight. That's got to be
Oh yeah,
confusing.
yeah, yeah. But then after that, then it was like I still had the white. I had those afterwards, and I was on those for quite a while. And then when I got pregnant with my first daughter, I never did nothing when I was pregnant because I said I never wanted to make sure I give anything to my babies.
Right.
Mhm.
But as soon as the day I got done, as soon as I had her and came home, boom, I had them again. So
Yeah.
it was like you wanted to constantly. I didn't want the weight issue. It
Right.
was always an issue for me.
Right.
Mhm.
The fear of gaining or losing the weight after that, after having a baby.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I didn't realize this is so funny because when you and I gained so much weight because I never got sick. So I put on about 70 pounds, and I was like, oh my goodness. So then it was like, oh no. So they kept telling me after. Now this is years later. If you breastfed, you could lose your weight faster. And I'm going, no one ever told me that. Because back in the 70s, no one talked anything about that.
Yeah.
There was no communication going on.
Right.
No education. Nobody was telling you things like that, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, and they were really hard on you, the doctors, with weight. At least from what my mom's perspective and my my ex-mother-in-law, she said that the doctor was really after her about don't gain more than 20 pounds, and they were really watching them.
What, when you were pregnant?
Back in the day, they really watched you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not now. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
now they don't harass you about your
Right.
weight.
No, I know.
But back then, they
Yeah.
would really harass you about your weight. It was a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they put me on a diet. They said you have to take, and I said, a diet? Okay. And so I started drinking Diet Tab. I will never drink another diet soda.
That aftertaste, that nasty
I'm
stuff.
sorry.
I know. That aftertaste. I can't do it.
Bad.
You have to get
Real
used to
bad.
it. Right.
Right.
So then what happened after that, after Wendy was born?
I was doing okay. I mean, I went back on the diet pills again, the Black Beauties, and then after her, I think about 9 months later, we moved to Indio. Willie and I moved to Indio, my husband, and I was off of everything. Well, I did some speed and stuff for a while, but then when I went to Indio, Willie got a job up there, so I was clean for over a year. And I thought, okay. And then I got introduced to it again, the speed.
Mm.
What is
Then
speed?
I got back into doing speed again. Meth.
Meth. Yeah,
Mhm.
and the other names
Yeah.
are like speed. I remember hearing my dad. They would say speed freaks. But I also heard crystal.
Crystal. Mhm.
Crystal meth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tweak.
Yeah, crank. Different words for
Oh,
it.
yeah. That was all the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But, it was just kind of, but when I was like from 14 to 18, before I married my husband, I was introduced to, oh my gosh, acid. I did a lot of acid.
Oh.
Cannabinol, these that kind of numbs you, and acid it's like a wild trip,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. But then one of my cousins had passed away. He used to come and pick me up when I lived in Paramount and I came to Riverside. And he would always say, come on, let's go party with me, and, you know. And so I said, okay. So we would do our acid. He would have it, and we would go out and stuff. And then finally I said, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not for me anymore. And he came down to my house. Well, he knew I was in Riverside from Paramount. And he said, come on, go out and do something. And I said, no, I'm not doing it anymore. So then, not too long after that, I get a phone call saying he drowned it.
Oh,
Paris
my
Lake.
gosh.
And I was like, oh, my goodness. I said, but I had to stick to the way I felt. I didn't want to do it anymore, so I
Yeah.
never did it again
Yeah.
because I didn't want to keep living that, you know. But my dad passed when I was 16, so that really, really put me over the edge.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was a year, I don't even remember. Like, I can't remember when we moved from Paramount back to Riverside, and I don't have a clue, you know. It's kind of like still in my mind that I don't remember.
Do you think that was to do with the meth? Did you lose track of time, or was it just grief?
Trauma?
Grief.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it was all because my dad, you know, he was my life, but him and I used to fight too much because we were too much alike, and that's why when I was 14, I went to go live with my mom because he didn't trust me. He kept saying, no, you know, you're going to go out and get pregnant and this and that. And I said, no, I'm not, you know, just trust me. So I'd sneak out the window, you know, and I'd come right back in. He'd be looking at the window, and we'd fight and argue. He never hit me, you know. And I said, oh, I can't do this. I got to get away from him.
Yeah.
So I did, and then 2 years later, he passed away. And I guess I felt like it was, you know, I wasn't there for him when he died.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. That's sad. Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah,
So-
so that kind of traumatized me, you know, and then I was still doing, you know, different types of drugs from 16 till I was 18. And then I met Willie, my husband, at 18. About 18 and a half when we got married. And I was doing the whites, and only thing he did was he smoked pot, and he just drank beer. And so he was like my knight in shining armor, you know. It was like we were connected right away. It was like we were meant to be.
Where did you meet him?
He was a good his aunt and uncle and uncles and cousins and all them knew my family.
Oh.
My brother went to school with his uncle, but I never knew him because he lived in Indio and I lived down here in Paramount. So when we did meet, we kind of started seeing each other, you know. And then me and my mom got into it. And my mom I left home, and then I went to his aunt's house, and the next thing I know, we're getting married at 18 and a half. You know, going down the freeway, we're partying. My brother's driving. You know, my brother Jared's driving, and he's going, hey, I get my unemployment check tomorrow. You guys want to go get married? And I'm looking at
It was
you know,
Uncle
I'm looking
Jerry's
at
fault.
Willie,
It was Uncle Jerry's
and then
idea.
he didn't say nothing.
I love it.
Yeah, and he didn't say nothing.
I love it. That's good.
And
Jerry knew
his
Willie
answer
was a good man.
might as well. We have nothing better to do. So we got married. So it lasted 42 years before he went to be with the Lord. 5 years
Amen.
ago, almost 5 years ago in August.
That's awesome.
That's a great story. I love it. Traveling down the street and just decided to do it. When it's right and you
Yeah,
know it's
91
right, it's
freeway.
right. And the 91 freeway. All right.
91
But you knew
yeah.
it was right. And Jerry knew before you guys knew, it sounds like.
I know. It was like they all knew who I needed to be. I guess God already had a plan, but, you know, we figured that out after we got saved in '88.
Yep.
Awesome. So was there a time when Willie started to use as well?
Oh, yeah. I introduced it to him because I was staying up at night, and I told him, you should try this with me. I didn't know he had an addiction personality.
Yeah.
I didn't know he couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
And that was the worst thing. And I never had, in my whole time using, knowing any of my friends, family, anything, I've never offered any of it to anybody else,
Yeah.
ever. I never tried to get anybody else high, nothing, you know. But with him, I did, and I regret it because it turned our life upside down.
Yeah.
And it was bad.
Yeah. So so after he started using, and can you tell us a little bit about what ended up happening that ended up making it bad, or what ended up happening then?
Well, when we started using, started using more, I was really against using a needle, like slamming drugs or whatever. But I had a boyfriend at one time. This is how crazy my life was when I was underage, teenager. I almost married a guy in prison. My mom was going to let me marry a guy in prison. And I told him, I said, I told him, I found out the guy was using in Chino prison, right? I'm thinking, whoa. And I said, I can't do this. I'm not going to go there because I just didn't feel that. Well, my mistake is that when I told Willie I was against it. Well, I got introduced to using the needle, and I didn't tell Willie. I should have told him the truth, but I didn't because I was ashamed of myself.
Yeah.
So then he finds out later that I did it, and so then he started doing it. He said, well, she can do it. I'm going to do it. And I told him, I said, I'm so sorry. I just never didn't want you to know that. I was ashamed of myself.
Yeah.
But it was bad. It was bad because then he was really, really doing it a lot. And I didn't like slamming drugs. I didn't like that. It wasn't me, who I was, but it was pretty powerful where it does head trips on people,
Yeah.
and it caused a lot of fighting, a lot of abuse. We had our girls taken away from us, and because my daughters went to school and said they were tired of their dad beating up on their mom. So school come and got my girls, and then we went to court.
How old were the girls at
Huh?
that? How old were the girls at that time?
I think they were like 9 and 7, somewhere around there.
And you had
And
told
this
me
happened down in
Sorry.
Indio. Pardon me?
And I remember you had told me at one point in time that there were people that were telling you, "Oh, deny it," and I was like really impressed with what you told me. Do you remember what you told me about what you told your friends who were like telling you to deny that basically to say that your children were lying?
Exactly. Yeah. They did. They kept saying, when they got taken away, and we had to go in, they kept saying, "Well, just tell them that you guys were playing around," and I said, "No." Me and my husband both said, "No. We've always told our kids that if you believe in something and you know it's true, stand for it, and we will stand behind you." And I said, if we wouldn't have done that and told my girls, when the authorities asked us, we said yes, it was true, and I wouldn't have the relationship I have with my daughters right now.
Amen. Amen.
Because they were telling the truth.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
That's
And
amazing.
they were little. They were what, 9 and 7.
Yeah.
How long were they gone?
2 months. When we went to this is how God works. When we went to court, the judge looked at both of us and says, "I'm going to make an example out of both of you. You're looking at 6 months of treatment, 6 months without them. So you have to go prove all these things. You have to do court. You have to do drug testing. You have to do counseling. You have to see them. Go visit them, do visitations." And he said, "I'm going to make an example." Well, when we were getting ready, and at that time, Willie and I had hid from him the night before court because he tried to kill me because he was afraid I was going to take the girls. So I was hiding under cars, and I was on the run.
Oh.
So I met him at court, and I was just like kind of fearful at first. And then when the judge told me that, and the lawyers were there, and we walked out because he had a lawyer and I had a bad lawyer. But we walked out, and I looked at him, and I said, "Do you want to do this together?" And he looked at me and said, "Yes." So we went to every drug test, never, ever had a dirty test. We went to every therapy, our counseling. We seen the girls regularly. And when we went and seen my daughters, they were with my brother-in-law, Willie's brother, younger brother, and his wife. We went and seen them. So if anybody thinks that they can't get gas to go see their kids, that's wrong, because you can. Because we never missed it. We never missed a time seeing our kids. If, the family would put gas in our car, and we never missed a visit.
Yeah.
So after that, my daughters, we were sitting there and told the girls, we said, "Well, when we get you back, what do you guys want to do?" And they said, "We want to move to Riverside. We never want to come back to this school," because they got taken out of the school.
Oh, they were
And I
embarrassed.
said, "Okay." They said, "You promise?" And I said, "I promise." And whenever Willie and I would promise, that was a promise we didn't break. I mean, we didn't believe in breaking promises. That was our word. And so when we got the girls back in 2 months, the judge was surprised. He was very pleased, So then we moved back to Riverside, and then it kind of kept going. I mean, some of the drugs was going a little bit, going a little bit again, and it went on for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, not even that long, I don't think. And then, and it wasn't as bad,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing like no fighting or nothing like that. And we decided we were ready to quit drugs,
That's good.
and we did. And then after that, we gave our lives to the Lord.
Awesome, awesome. And what made you decide at that point to quit finally?
We looked at our life. See, what happened is I had been going to church prior to that with Willie's cousin and his aunt, and this little lady named Wanda Horton. She prayed for us, and she'd have Bible studies. And she's a little Baptist lady, and I'm Pentecostal now. But she would have Bible studies, and I got baptized. Me and the girls got baptized in the church, in the Baptist church. But I wasn't strong enough to do it on my own because Willie was still using.
Right.
And he was drinking Bacardi and Coke. So he was a mean drunk. He was
My dad was
he,
too. Oh my God.
Not with anybody else, but with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he would get where he would. It started. He would not come home on Friday night, come back till Sunday, and he said, "I figured if you're going to be mad, I might as well stay a couple days. You're still going to be mad."
Yeah.
So that went on for a while, and I was just tired, and then he was too.
That's good. Praise
So
God.
it took him a while longer to get sober and clean than you did?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because when we first got clean after the girls got taken away, it took him quite a while because he was almost like in a depression, like where he didn't want no light in the room, and I bounced back really, really quick.
Yeah.
Because I was taking vitamins, and he just didn't want to face things, like,
Yeah.
And so I kept telling him, come on, we got to go do this, and, and so finally I started getting him where, open up the curtains, come on, we've got to do this,
Yeah.
Good for you.
So it kind of, and then it happened again, and then, like when we went to Riverside after leaving Indio,
Mm-hmm.
it went on a while more. So.
Yeah.
And what happened when you were saying the night before you guys went to court, you had to hide from him? Was that because did the girls coming out and telling of the abuse and the drug use, did that like drive a wedge between
no.
the two of you?
Oh, no. That had nothing to do with the girls. We were very supportive with our girls. There was never an issue of us ever feeling that the girls had did something to us.
No, I didn't mean that. I just meant
like
I just meant them getting taken away. Is that because it sounded like you guys both got separate lawyers and stuff? What was going on in your relationship at that time? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
At that time, he left the house for a while, and in La Quinta he left, and so he was doing his partying and stuff, and I wasn't. I just didn't want to go there. So when we got the girls taken away, then it's like he got a lawyer and I got a lawyer.
Yeah.
Because we weren't together, but he was afraid I was going to get the girls, and he wasn't.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. I got it. I thought you were still
So
together, and then I was surprised that you were separated all of a sudden. I didn't understand.
We were separated for a little bit, yeah.
Oh,
But
okay.
he was, he was really angry, and and it was bad because he was really abusive at that time. He was really mad.
Yeah.
And he had never, ever put his hands on me before, ever. He was like a gentle giant, but, drugs and alcohol mixing,
Yep.
it changes people.
Yep.
And when we had lost the girls and we went to counseling, the counselor asked me when we were sitting there, Willie and I, he said, I can't believe you're sitting here with him and wanting to do this. And I said, I'm doing this because that was not my Willie. And my Willie's still in there, and I want him out. I know he's there. It was just the drugs and alcohol that, caused a lot of stuff that went on. And
Right.
he goes, I'm really amazed, but we were together all the time for therapy.
And that's really true. I've seen that with my dad. And sometimes people don't understand. I worked at a place, and I was telling someone about my family, and she literally, one of the people that worked there also, that worked out on the field, one of the guys said, yeah, she said your family's nothing but a bunch of drug addicts. And I was like, whoa, like, what the heck? And I'm confiding in someone, and she's pretending to be sympathetic, but at the same time, she said this negative thing, and I realized at that point, it's like everybody doesn't have the same experiences as I have, so they're not going to understand. And they're not going to understand that there's two sides to people, and they think of it in a really different type of way if they haven't experienced it, and sometimes all you see is the negative person or the negative side. And I think our family members who want to protect us might only see the negative side of that person too. But with my father, there was two sides to him. There was a very loving and gentle side, and I learned a lot from him. And I'm grateful for having him in my life. Even there were times when I wanted my mom to leave him, when he was drinking, because he was really violent and he would tear the house up and he would abuse us. There were times for sure when I wanted her to leave. But there were other times where I learned so much from him that I realized, that I wouldn't have had those experiences, and I wouldn't have known my father if she would have left, and I wouldn't have known that side to him. And I know Kim spoke to that when she was on here, Kim Beckham. Same thing with Danny. She was like, there were two Dannys. There was my Danny and there was the drug Danny, So I think it's admirable that you stayed and you worked it out, and then your kids and your grandkids got to see this great relationship between you and Willie, because I have witnessed it myself, and it's a beautiful relationship. It's a very beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, he was my best friend.
Yes. Yes.
And we did go through a lot. But like you're saying about the family, most of my family, a lot of them, they'd never done drugs before, and they couldn't they just seen what we were going through, because I think we were the worst out of the family. It was bad, but when overcoming it was powerful, because I've never wanted to be negative. I just, and Willie was that way too. He always wanted to be there for whoever needed to talk to him, like when we, after we got off the drugs. But I know that if we didn't do it together, we wouldn't have been together.
Yeah.
That's why I always say that if there's a couple, they have to do it together.
Right.
Because you're not strong enough, not unless you get out of that relationship.
Right.
And
Right.
I used to tell Willie, when we were going through our bad times, I told him, I said, if you don't want to be around and be a dad, and I would tell him, I would just kind of aggravate him. I said, I'm sure there's another man out there that my daughters would love to call daddy. Oh, no. He would get so mad. And I said, okay, then you need to straighten up.
Right. Right. I know with Alyssa, she
Yeah.
could probably attest to that a little bit with her and her baby's father. I mean, I know there were times when they were in rehab together, and she told me it was really hard because he would leave and then she wanted to be
Yeah,
with him.
I see. The thing is, if there's two people and they both want to get clean, and they're actually working at it to get clean, I could see how it could
It's
work,
beneficial.
and it could be good for the relationship. But when one person's not putting in the effort to get clean and the other person is, and then you just kind of follow them out of it because you're still in that state of mind in yourself.
Right.
You're trying to get out of it, but you're kind of stuck when you're in rehab with your significant other who isn't ready and who's kind of talking you into leaving, and and kind of just playing tricks with you, like
Yeah.
Yes, I know, and that's why I say, like, when I first went to church and got saved, he didn't want to get in there.
Yeah.
And I kept praying, Lord, you got to change him because I can't do this.
Yeah.
A few times, oh my gosh, it was like I wanted to just put a pillow over his head and smother him. It was like, oh, but this man, he's 6'2" and I'm 5'7", and it's like, what? I can only get him when he's asleep.
You're a firecracker. You're a bit of a firecracker, Aunt Linda.
I was.
I know you were. I
It
know
was
you
like,
were.
oh.
I know that. That's
I mean,
funny.
I couldn't win a fist fight with him. I mean, hey, but he used to call me his little pit bull. He said, "You got to stop," and I said, "I'm not gonna stop. You're not gonna do this to me,"
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
Right. That's
But
funny.
it brings the worst out in people, and that's why when I see people that are struggling, and a lot of people tell me, why do you think this person's too fun? And I said, no, they're not. I said, they might be now, but somebody was praying for us and being there for us, and there's always hope. But once they're gone, once they're dead, there is no hope. So I always believe there's always hope.
Yeah.
And you
And
gave me
everybody
that.
tells me, you believe in everybody. I do.
And you
Because
gave
I
me
can
that.
look at my life.
Oh, sorry. I mean to interrupt. You gave me that hope too with Alyssa on several occasions, and lots of people did. But I mean, you literally called me up and told me, I'm praying for her. There's hope. You told me your story. I mean, it really touched me. It really helped me at a time in my life where I was really down and I was really, worried and upset. And I'm thankful for that.
Oh, thank you. But it was compassion I had. I knew, I just felt like it is. I guess God put that on my heart years ago, and I've always felt that way. You know that people need to know that somebody's there for them because people were there for me. What happens if that one person didn't keep praying like Grandma Horton? You know.
Right.
And Willie's mom, she was a prayer warrior, and I said, "Oh my gosh, now I understand why she went with all her prayers." You know,
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Praise God.
we
Amen.
can't give up on the ones that are lost. We can't.
No. No, and Alyssa, you've said that before. Like if just one person, even like you just knowing
Yeah.
that
Don't
I
give
was
up
there.
on them. Yeah.
Even just you knowing that I was there, worrying about you and waiting for you.
Yeah.
It was gave you hope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's sad because I've seen like
Because there'd be no other point if I didn't have somebody there to care about me and care whether or not, like, why would it matter anymore if there wasn't?
right,
Right, right. And when I was going through it, I had a lot of support from the family too. So did Willie. You know, but a lot of times we're not ready to take it because we're not ready to stop.
Right. Right.
exactly.
You know. Yep.
In the time that you were coming up, where you were talking about acid, was that the time of the hippie days?
Listen,
I wondered.
It, it was like 73, I guess. Yeah. Well, the heavy days were like in the 60s. I
Oh,
was born
okay.
in 57.
I don't know.
But
I'm
I
sorry.
was raised with all. I still act like everybody tells me I'm like the hippie, anyways. But oh yeah, I was introduced to a lot of that stuff. And when I would go on acid, I'd be with some friends, and we would go to this amusement park, and we would have a blast. We would get on this one thing where you go across it, and there's the wheels, like the gel that they have, like at the amusement parks. You go up and you go up the stairs, and you get on these little rollers, and there's like gel bars, and you go back and forth. We couldn't get off of them. We couldn't get off of them. The guy'd have to come up and get us, and then we would be walking home, and I had like 9 dogs going home with me. I love dogs.
Oh,
I don't know whose dogs they were, but they sure followed me.
that's fun. So you had some good times. That's fun.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I never did
Yeah,
acid
yeah.
because once I did shrooms, this 3 times, that last time doing shrooms, I was like, I can't handle acid. I can't even handle these shrooms.
Yeah, we did those
not
too.
for me.
We
Yeah.
had done those too when we lived up in India. Yeah, we did those too.
Yeah,
But
the
they-
last
I didn't,
experience was the last one. The third one was the last one. Never again. I
That
would never
stuff's
do that
Right,
again.
right.
Yeah, that stuff scares me.
It-
I'm afraid of being out of control at all. I just want to be in control.
That's
stuff
why
scares
I
me.
never take anything that puts me to sleep, like downers. Like they had reds and things like that. That's like a red sleeping pill. That was pretty powerful back then. I would never take them because I had to always be alert. I have to make sure I'm alert. I have to always be awake. I got to know what's going on in my surroundings.
Yeah.
Right. So you were more. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
but-
makes sense that you were more drawn towards the meth then.
Yeah, yeah. But when I was about 15, living up in Fairmont, I was introduced to spot remover. It's called Carbona. That was a high that it's a crazy one. And I'm like, whoa. And I'm surprised I even have a brain right now.
What
I'm
is-
serious because it's crazy.
What is
it's
spot remover?
So many.
What
It's
is it?
spot remover. You take off, and it's like if there's spots on your stuff, you take and you clean it.
What did it, like,
So you
and
bleach?
inhale
breathe
it.
it
So
out,
you
yeah.
inhale. You
Yeah,
inhale.
you just put it on.
Oh
It's
my
crazy
gosh.
because we'd put it on a rag and sniff it.
Oh, good
Like,
God.
like
my
people
gosh.
sniff gas. I never was into sniffing gas. I could still gas, but I couldn't sniff gas.
Right.
That's
right.
crazy.
So things have, yeah, but it's not much different than now because they sniff things like Sharpies and gas and
Freon.
Freon, yeah, inhalant.
I know,
dangerous.
and that's why when I think about that, and they used to call it Carbona, and I was like, oh my gosh. And some of my friends never did anything like that, but they was always there to make sure I didn't do anything stupid.
They keep an eye on you, trying to keep an eye on you.
Oh yeah, they did.
I had
But
some relatives
it
ask
was
me to do
it was
that.
just a sad time in my life that I felt like I had a chip on my shoulder and I was ready to fight anybody. It was sad, because I was bitter because of all the stuff that had went on in my life, like my parents divorcing, my dad dying when I was 16, But
That's a
then when I
lot.
got with Willie, I felt like that was a love that God put in my life, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, this a void that I had,
Yep.
Yeah. and
You were trying to fill that void with other things.
I was,
Mm-hmm.
I was,
Yeah. And
I was.
it's interesting because I love that you said that because I was going to ask you that question. I was going to say, so what changed? Was it Willie? And it really was Willie that changed.
was.
It was that love. And you realized and you recognized that you had a purpose and that God was protecting you the whole time. It's hard to know that, though, when you're in the midst of something and when you're a child. I remember my grandma dying when I was 8 and feeling angry and bitter and feeling like she was the only person who really loved me. That's how I felt at the time. That wasn't right, but that's how I felt. I got most of my attention from my grandma when I was growing up. And I remember just being angry and bitter. And then later in life, after growing up and starting going to church as a teenager and stuff, I realized, the whole time God was there. He just, he was there protecting me. I just didn't see it. I just didn't recognize it. And that helped me get over my childhood, and then also realize that, my testimony will help other people. And I think that's why stories are so powerful, because other people are out there and they can hear it and they can relate to it and they can say, yes, this happened to me, and look at this person's now overcome it, So I think that's why it's so important that we tell our stories.
I call a testimony a test, because before you can have a testimony, you have to go through that test.
That's right.
And it gives you that, and then you can share that testimony with others. It's so important, because you're right. If people don't know what other people, because most people think they're going through it alone. But there's so many people that have struggled, and they don't want to put it out there because they're either ashamed or they don't want people to know their lifestyle. You know what I mean? And so they hold it all in and not knowing how to deal with it, not knowing that other people have been there too.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Especially when you're young too, because it's like your brain doesn't comprehend that there's other people. I think you focus so much on yourself as a young person. It's like you're self-absorbed, and you feel like everyone's looking at you and everything's about you. And until you get a little older and a little more mature, then you can start realizing, like, and looking outward and seeing that other people are struggling too, and that it's not just you. I think it takes a little growing up too, and I think that helps as well. And having people around you loving you and telling you, and I think family is so important for that too. And I remember your family being around you and Willie at those times. I remember seeing you and thinking, this lady's just this beautiful blonde free spirit. I was like mesmerized by you and Willie with his long hair and, the biker look. And I just thought you guys were great people, and I still do. But I remember all the family being around you and people being worried about you and not really knowing as a teenager what was going on,
Yeah, exactly. And that was like the support of, like, my family, Willie's family, his siblings, the aunts, it was a big support for us.
Yeah.
It really was. But, he was so wonderful for me. Everybody used to tell him, "You're so spoiled, Linda." And he'd go, No, get it right. She's loved.
Aww. So sweet. That's awesome. So sweet. Yeah, that's great.
So what happened when things got better? When you guys stopped using, how did life go for you guys after that?
Oh my goodness, it was the most wonderful thing. Like that happened in like when we decided, we didn't like what was going on, and this was on November the 7th, 1988. I can remember it as if it was just a day. We were using, but not, we were still using because we were using meth. Mm-hmm. And we never let our kids or anybody see us do it. We always went in the room. My kids have never, ever seen it. I've never done it in front of a kid, ever. So we was very private with that. So that day, we decided it was done. We're never doing it again. Well, we had probably half a gram. So, and it's powder, right? I called the girls in, and I put it on my palm of my hand, and I said, "You see this stuff?" I said, "This is what will kill you, steal you, and destroy you." And I blew it off my hand, and I said, "You'll never, ever see us doing this," or because they'd never seen it, but you won't see us go through this ever again. And that was the 7th of November. On the 21st of November, we give our lives to the Lord. Because Willie worked with a mechanic at his work, which ended up being a pastor. That was Robert Sutterfield. So Robert knew that Willie and I had been struggling and everything, because he saw it going on with Willie at work, and he would keep writing scriptures on the big board. And Willie goes, "I don't want to ever be with that guy by myself. I don't want to be with him," And the more
he was feeling
convicted, the more God put him with him.
Conviction.
He goes, "Oh man, he's going out on the job with me. He's got to, he's a mechanic." He said, "Oh gosh," And he said, he keeps being with me, babe. He keeps being with me. And I kept praying, saying, yes, Lord, because I had, a year prior to that, I got baptized as a Baptist and got away from it and been praying to God. You've got to get him in there with me.
Yeah.
So then he started talking to Pastor Sutterfield, Robert Sutterfield, and Robert was telling him, and Willie told him, he said, I have an uncle in Riverside that has a church. He's a pastor. And Robert Sutterfield says, do you think he'll let me come to the church and preach for you and Linda to come in? He goes, I don't know. He said, that's his church. I don't think he's just going to want anybody you don't know coming in. And he goes, will you set up a meeting for me? So they set up a meeting for Pastor, Sutterfield to meet Willie's uncle, and they did. And so we went to church, and when Robert did the altar call, Willie almost went over me and beat me to the altar. And when that happened, it's like everything started to change. It was like night and day. We kept smoking. I had been smoking for years, so did Willie. But that was in November. In December, on the 31st, me and Willie decided on the 1st of January, 89, we were going to quit smoking. That was going to be our resolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on Saturday at 1 o'clock, I told Crystal, I said, you know what, baby? This is my last cigarette. I won't touch another one. And so Willie had just came back from the store around the corner at that 7-Eleven on where you guys used to live across the street on La Sierra.
Uh-huh.
He came back home with his uncle and stuff, and he goes, I told him, I said, babe, that was my last cigarette. And he goes, why didn't you tell me before I went and bought a pack? And I said, I didn't know you were going. He crumbled up that pack. He did. He crumbled up that whole pack of cigarettes. We had never touched another one since. I said, why do we have to wait until the next day when we could just do it now? And we struggled for about a week or two, eating hard candies. My oldest sister said, you got to have hard candies, keep them, and we did, and everything just started changing. And then Willie really got involved with passing out those little flyers and stuff at the Data Brothers and stuff, telling them about Jesus.
The pamphlets. The pamphlets, yeah.
I just got one of those today at the front door. Somebody knocked on our door.
Oh, at our house,
Yeah.
At our house, yeah.
Wow, how wonderful, how wonderful. So things started really changing, and the girls really saw it because they had went through that, so they knew it was real, and so we just kept on going, and it's just been pretty good. I've been saved 33 years.
How old were the girls at the time?
I was 31 when we got saved. I think, oh my goodness, I don't remember. I can't go back that far. I don't
probably
remember.
12.
That's okay.
They were
I was
about
just
12.
thinking around
I
what
mean,
age.
if it was in the 80s, they were probably 12 or 13, right?
It was 88. So Wendy was born in 77, so she was 11, and I guess 11 and 9. So they must have been a little bit younger back when we first started doing drugs.
Yeah, but I'm sure they could have seen the change immediately, being the age that they are. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and then we went, we were in church like Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, and I remember the girls all through, they're going to school and God really put us through like a real test when my youngest daughter got pregnant at the age of 14. And we just, she come and told us, and we just looked at her and we said, okay, we're here for you, And then I find out, a few weeks later that my other daughter's pregnant at 16.
Wow.
And I'm like, whoa, okay. So I was like, in our church, our pastor, which at that time was Pastor Steve Anderson, it was like everybody was so awesome. But we never thought, no, we're not going to be supportive. We're not going to help raise these children. These were our grandbabies. So we automatically just took the role of everybody taking care of these babies, and that's what we did. And we had 2 babies. They were 7 weeks apart, our grandbabies. And it was
awesome.
like one of the best times of our life. It's watching like these 2 babies running around, and my girls were teenagers. And my youngest one, Crystal, she ended up singing the national anthem at her graduation. And now she's an LVN nurse.
That's
and
awesome.
Wendy, she got her diploma too. And she was working in the healthcare, in healthcare too, doing beautiful. Both of them are doing wonderful. And I have grandkids. I have 8 great grandkids. I have 6 grandkids and 8 great grandkids. And I am one proud Mimo.
That's right.
That's awesome. And I heard you
But
used to do Bible studies at your house,
They had church at the house in the garage.
in your
we
house.
used to have it in the garage.
Yeah, we
Yes,
used to have it in the
yes,
garage.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I remember
I've
my
been
mom
there.
telling me
I've
that.
been to church there.
yes. And when I can say, like, going back to my daughter when she got pregnant, right?
Mhm.
My oldest daughter, Wendy, when she was 13, I remember, and this is such a sad situation. She had one of her friends that was 13 that got pregnant. She couldn't go to her mom and dad. She couldn't go to nobody, right? Well, her mother went to go walk out to the garage, and she opened the garage door and seen her 13-year-old daughter hanging there.
Oh, God.
And when that happened, that would happen before my girls got pregnant, right? And I actually took a bunch of Wendy's friends because they all wanted to go to the funeral. So I got with all the parents and asked, is it okay if they go? I will take them. And they said, yes, absolutely. So I kind of stayed in the back and let the girls be with, the friends be with there, And I always said there was nothing in this world my girls could do that I would ever turn my back on them.
That's right.
And then what happened later on, my daughter got pregnant at, 14. Had a baby at 14. She got pregnant at 13 and had a baby at 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when she got pregnant, Crystal, she would, with the neighbor people around there, she would go out and wrap gifts for them and do whatever she could do to get money to help take care of Taylor. It was amazing, and Wendy would work. So they really grew up fast, but they were such good moms. But we all stayed together and kind of helped each other, as a family.
Yeah. Yeah. Praise God. And they're wonderful girls, and their kids are wonderful.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They
I
are.
love them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent Friday with them. They took me out to breakfast because I figured Mother's Day is going to be crazy for everybody, so we did it on Friday. It was a blessing.
Very nice.
That's amazing.
Very nice. Awesome. That's great. I'm loving your story. Is there anything before we close?
No, it's just that I'm always here for somebody that if they're ever struggling. And you know that. You'll tell me, or I just hope that this touches somebody that's listening, that you're not alone, and family is very important. And, no matter what happens, I know people want to give up, but don't ever give up. Because if they're still alive, there's still hope.
Yeah.
That's right. And if you don't have family out there, find a church, find a rehab. There are people that do care.
Meetings.
Yes.
Yeah, there are
Yes.
counselors, there are teachers, there are individuals that you can talk to that do care about you.
There's even virtual meetings. If you go to intherooms.com, and there's a bunch of virtual AA, NA, all different kinds of addiction anonymous meetings.
nice.
There's like hundreds of them that they do daily.
That's really nice. So
And
then
you could it's like
Yeah.
a community where you could also chat with the community of addicts or alcoholics on their intherooms.com.
that's awesome. I love
Right, right. And if they don't want to go into a church, they can go to AA, NA. One of Willie's cousins, Tim, he has been clean for a long time, and every time he goes anywhere, I don't care when he comes from state to state, whatever, he'll find a meeting.
Yeah.
He has met so many people, so there's help out there.
Yep.
that. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Aunt Linda, for coming on. We so appreciate
Oh, you're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You're
we so
welcome.
appreciate
I
you.
love you guys very much.
Love you too.
I know that this is going to be a blessing to the listeners, and we
I
just
hope so. I hope so.
I know it will. Thank you so much, and have a good
Thank
night.
you. You too.
And you can follow us on Dying to Get Well on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
Oh, also, we're working on a website right now, and we're kind of excited about that. Our website.
It's not quite ready yet.
Yeah, we're not going to give out the web address because
Okay.
we're still working on it. Did you get nervous?
Yes, I did.
Good tell. Oh, it was funny. Yeah, we're not giving out the web address yet. We have a very good young man working on it, and he has a business doing this. His business is called Plan Then Execute. His name is Angel, and he's doing an
looks so
awesome job.
good so
He's
far.
doing an awesome job for us, and we have high hopes. We have a wellness page where there is, I guess, how we just say it. There's pages that you can click on to go to meditation and to go to look at animals at the zoo, to do exercises. And
Sounds random, but It's just to
not, but
help
it's
you
just,
with mental.
yeah,
It's just
it's a mental health and wellness portion of our website.
and
then
also memorial part.
yeah, we have a memorial page which you'll be able to go on, click on, put on a picture of your loved one,
And share something
and share
about
something
them.
about them. Yeah, we're looking into doing multiple memorial pages because we're not sure if one will be enough. But right now, that's what we have in the works. And then there's about us section, contact us section.
And all of our previous videos that we've already made that you can listen to.
Our podcast will be on there. Yeah, so then you can listen to our podcast. So that should be good. So that's something that we're excited about.
Definitely excited about.
And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Even though I'll be working tomorrow.
Somebody's a little bitter. I will be babysitting her kids tomorrow, so she shouldn't be so bitter.
Your grandkids, you mean?
Not her kids, my grandkids. I'm happy to do it. I'll find something fun to do with the grandkids tomorrow. Just want to say happy Mother's Day to all of those mothers out there and dedicate this show to my mother, Margie Beckham, who passed away May 29th of last year. She was a wonderful mother, tough lady, the rock of our family. Thank you for listening to KCAA Radio, 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. Please listen to us here on Saturdays from 5 to 6 p.m. every Saturday. And this is the radio station that leaves no listener behind. Thank you. Have a good